Hello. I'd just like to say some of your stories have been, life stories have been inspirational. Particularly enjoyed yours, Hamza, where you explained that you wanted to have run the best team in the country. It was that inspirational. I almost wanted to put my hand up and come and join you. Also to the others that have gone tread before me, I've noticed that quite a few of you used PowerPoint. That's perhaps a trick that I missed that I may use next time round. I felt it was cheating a bit like using performance enhancing drugs. Nonetheless, I wish I'd have taken advantage of it and been able to use it now. Anyway, my name is Mark Bradley. I work out of the Sheffield office in Direct. I work along with Andy and Matthew, as you've already heard. So who am I? I think Steve likes a quote, so who am I? Let's take a quote from Aristotle. He said, "Give me the child until he is 7 and I will show you the man." The principle behind it is that we do most of our learning in those formative years. That's where most of it is hard driven into your brain. So let's take you back to 1963, November 1963, when I was born. I was born a week after the assassination of President JF Kennedy. Conspiracy rumours were that rife at the time that I was almost arrested as a suspect. And the number one in what we used to call the hit parade was a song by the Beatles called "I Want to Hold Your Hand." So, in the beginning, you could say I come from mining stock. Both my grandfathers were miners. I had 4 uncles, all miners. My father did his apprenticeship down the mines, and he was, although an electrical engineer, a miner himself. So, at the time, in 1963, 500,000 people worked in the mining industry. It's probably the biggest industry in the UK at the time. Miners became a community, and being part of a community at that young age gave me a sense of belonging, a sense of sharing, a sense of helping others. We all felt like we were in it together, and I'd hope we'd take that sort of ethos in our evolution journey and look at this as our own little communities where we can help and support and share the success of others. The interesting thing as well is 2 years ago, the very last miner in the UK left Kellingley Colliery, the last man to walk out of a mine shaft, December 2016. So we'll never see the likes again. Probably there's a message in that with the evolutionary journey. These miners had to learn new skills, completely alien to them, many of them, but moved on in their journey in life. And I think that's what we're going through as well. There's probably never been an opportunity like this in terms of our industry, in terms of development. Very exciting times, very innovative, things moving very quickly. So I think we need to really grasp the opportunity. So that now takes me to 1970, age 7. We emigrated to Zambia. My dad jumped on a boat, went to Cape Town, drove for 9 days into the middle of Africa in a Morris minor, and took up residence in Lusaka on the Copper Belt, once again a mining community. There I was educated at primary school. There was a class of 40. Of the 40 there were 2 white people, myself and the teacher. It was a 3-year contract. Came back to the UK in 1974. For those of you who don't know, 1974 were very difficult times. Very difficult in the sense that there was a 3-day week. All the miners were on strike, refusing to work a 5-day week. It brought the wheels of industry to a grinding halt, and obviously at the time was the downfall of the conservative government. I spent a total of 13 years in South Africa, and of those 13 years I finished my primary school, my high school, and went on to university. University of Natal in Durban, and graduated with a social sciences degree with a major in occupational psychology and business administration. Then, upon graduation, the South African government decided that all immigrants now had to do national service. So this would entail 2 years in one of the forces. In my case, I was drafted into the Air Force and had to report for duty, which was a real sort of clash of consciousness, considering the community I came from until I was the age of 7, sharing, caring, everyone being equal. I found it very difficult to support an apartheid regime that based privilege on the colour of your skin. So the day that I was to report to the Air Force at the airport, I did go to the airport. It was a different airport, caught a jumbo jet and escaped to Israel, therefore avoiding national service at the time. At the time, my parents were already back in the UK. Came back to the UK looking to hopefully work in personnel. Got here, and in those days my degree wasn't recognised as the British equivalent. It may as well have been a degree in the ancient art of Zulu stick fighting. So I fell into recruitment. From recruitment I fell into sales, and then about 1994 this magic voodoo witchcraft thing came along called cable. So in the very early days I joined Yorkshire Cable in Bradford, which then became Telly West. I moved on to United Artists up in the North East in Gateshead, where it became once again Telly West, and then back down to Leeds, Bell Cable Media, and that became NTR. So that's a little sort of history on the franchises at the time. Loved every minute of it, and about 1996 my middle son was diagnosed with, and he was 3.5 at the time, with severe learning difficulties and severe autism, really on the autism spectrum. He was at the very low functioning end. So it was a sea change in terms of a family, in terms of lifestyle. I found it very difficult to continue working within that cable environment, where obviously when you're employed by a company you're expected to come to them at their beck and call, quite rightly so. I couldn't offer that sort of commitment, so I moved on, because I felt really my role was to support my son through those difficult times. Then 5 years ago I was invited to come back by a former colleague from the Leeds office, who's now the FSM in Sheffield, and I came back to Virgin 5 years ago. And I think this is very exciting times. I've waited 5 years in the sense to have an opportunity like this to come on a course. Some of you are very lucky that you've been only here a year or two, and this opportunity presents itself, so we all need to take advantage of it as best we can. What I don't want to happen is what happened to me when I was 18. I passed the head teacher in the corridor, and very tongue-in-cheek he said to me, "Mark, you've got a brain like a Rolls Royce, but you use it like a Ford T model." And I think we're all guilty of that and can all be accused of that. You get bogged down in the job that you do, numbers, figures, sales, etc., and tend to not look at the wider picture and how we benefit in the long term. The accusation I would be fearful of is my FSM or my regional manager saying to me, "Mark, you've got a brain like a Rolls Royce, but you use it like a Virgin Media Ford Focus with Lightfoot attached to it," which would be the modern day equivalent. So I think it's time for me to take the handbrake off, join you guys in this journey, and I'm looking forward to the next 12 months. Thanks a lot.